Hello. On this episode of On the Wine Road podcast, you'll hear about a winemaking family who are based in 3 counties. They source from a good number of appellations across California. They have 3 brands that I'll touch upon, but we'll focus on one, BACA.
What we like to do here at BACA is let people choose their own adventure. So we offer not just BACA wines, which is predominantly Zinfandel. We also offer our Hall Cabernets and our Walt Pinot Noirs and Chardonnays.
Which is fantastic that you have that option.
Thank you.
She's Jennifer Brown of Napa Valley's Hall family. But Napa isn't where they started. We'll get into some of the details of their various brands in a moment. But first, On the Wine Road podcast is brought to you locally by Sonoma Clean Power. For those of you in the area, learn how your actions can make a greater impact with clean, renewable energy at poweringeverydaymoments.org. That's poweringeverydaymoments.org. I sat with Jennifer a few weeks ago at the BACA Tasting Room outside of Healdsburg on West Side Road on the southern end of Dry Creek Valley in Sonoma County, California. BACA, B-A-C-A, focuses on the Zinfandel variety, which I found interesting knowing that Jennifer is from Napa's Hall family, who are known for Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Sauvignon Blanc. We met at the Zinfandel Advocates and Producers Zinfandel Experience Grand Tasting in 2020, and she told me she loved to skip through the Zinfandel vineyards as a child. Hearing that from a Hall family member struck me with enough curiosity. I wanted to talk with her about it on this podcast. So it's been a couple of years. The pandemic passed. She recently had a baby. And then we finally sat down at the BACA Tasting Room, outdoors on their patio, overlooking the Zinfandel vineyard. I started by asking, how did someone from the Hall family end up making Zinfandel?
Well, first, you have such a great memory because that was a couple of years ago. And second, I loved growing up, spent every single summer in my grandparents' and then became my mother's vineyards in Mendocino, and they were Zinfandel, and my brother and I would just set off on an adventure every day to some other corner of the vineyard, whether it was going fishing at the pond or, checking and doing taste tests on the berries, whatever it was. I have a real passion for our family's vineyards and Zinfandel in particular. Yeah.
Now, were you on the warmer side of Mendocino, like near Redwood Valley?
Exactly,
is that what I saw?
More inland, warmer.
Certainly a lot hotter there.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And perfect for Zinfandel.
It was, yes. Yeah. Zin likes that hotter, ripening temperatures for sure.
Ultimately, it's not terribly surprising that she makes Zinfandel because the family also founded Walt Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So they sell a good variety of wine varieties.
Definitely, yeah. We're excited because, I think as a family company, we feel really excited about being able to have best in class, in our opinion, of the varietals, whether it's best in class of Cabernets from Napa or Pinot Noirs from up and down the coast or Zinfandels from around California. We feel like we're covering at least many of the categories of California wines, yes.
Yeah. And you have some white wine that we'll get to in a minute. When I was doing my research a little bit more about you, I saw that you have a master's in business administration and a law degree.
Yes.
And yet you're making wine.
I know. It's not exactly the most expected path.
Business administration might come in handy.
Yes, that's true. I do feel like I use my law and business background most days. I had actually, so after Stanford, where I got my JD MBA, I had my own company for a while. It was a tech company, and it was really fun, and I enjoyed it, but I was really excited to come and join the family company because it's just hard to find anything more meaningful than working with your family, in my opinion, and preserving their family legacy has just been really rewarding.
Yeah, that's important too, because these days a lot of family legacies are collapsing and selling out.
Absolutely, and I get it. It's hard to continue businesses on generations, but I don't begrudge anyone for not being able to continue, but we're very excited that we still have our family business continuing.
So, good for you for thinking of it that way. You say you craft a different style of Zin. How do you differentiate your Zinfandel from other Dry Creek Valley Zins?
Yes, I do think that we craft a different kind of Zin. I would categorize our Zinfandel as being more on the elegant, restrained side. And I think there's a number of different reasons why it's different, but one of the main reasons is how we're making it. And we use All of our wines are made in our state-of-the-art winemaking facility in St. Helena, where Hall Wines Tasting Room is located on Highway 29. And the way we're making it is, I mean, of course, I'm biased, so I'll start there. But we use the best materials that we can. So we're only using French barrels in our barrel program, for example. I think one of the biggest machines that makes the biggest impact is our optical sorter. We're the only Zinfandel producer that I know of in Napa and Sonoma that uses their optical sorter for Zinfandel.
Yeah.
And
is that the one that automatically shoots the bad berries off the
Exactly.
The sorter?
Yeah. So, I know you know, but for anyone listening that may not, so we pick what we consider to be the perfect berries and show them to the machine. And then the machine can tell from the color, shape, size of the berries which one we consider to be perfect. And then after the berries get destemmed, they come through on a conveyor belt, and then with puffs of air, it shoots off, just like you're saying, the ones that don't match our criteria of being perfect. So that means only the freshest, purest grapes end up in the tank. And for Zin in particular, that's really important because if people who are listening may or may not know, Zinfandel is notoriously unevenly ripening.
Right. And generally, that's one of the things they like about it, a lot of growers, because you can balance out the grapes that are higher in sweetness.
True.
Then you have lesser sweet grapes.
Yeah, true. So I think there's just different styles. For us, we're going for more of the perfectly ripe berries consistently across the board, but definitely, I think people like different kind of styles. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's so crazy. That's such an interesting invention. That
I know.
The optical sorter.
Well, and my understanding is it was originally used for different kinds of farming, for other kinds of fruit, but it has such an incredible impact. We've done taste tests at the winery, blind taste tests of wine that was vinified after being optically sorted and some that has not been, and we all unanimously have preferred the taste of the ones that were optically sorted just because it can sort the fruit faster, more quickly, more efficiently, more accurately, and then also on a hot day, if it's sorting it more quickly, it keeps the berries fresher longer too. So I think there's a lot of different benefits of that.
Yeah, interesting. Well, good for you for doing the test.
Thanks.
It's nice to get a real read on what's going on.
For sure.
You certainly have fun with the brand. You have some playful names.
Yes.
For some examples, Somersault Zinfandel, Cat's Cradle, Marbles.
Yes.
Double Dutch, and you have Ring Around the Rosé in cans. That's fun.
Thanks.
I'd like to try that, by the way.
Oh, yes, please. We will before you leave.
Because I have to be honest, I'm not a fan of canned wine. So.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can change your mind.
Yeah, maybe you'll open my mind a little bit.
Okay, good.
Or my palate.
Yes. Yes, we do. We try to have fun in our winemaking and in our culture as a company. My family's really into games. Growing up, we always had games sitting out on the table, whether they're board games or physical games we would play. And we just have an attitude of the fact that we make serious wine, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. And I think that's important because reminding someone, because wine tasting can be a little bit intimidating for some folks, and so reminding them to be joyful and sparking that sense of joy, I think is important.
Right. And we don't want to forget your Roussan Marsan, which is called Stargazing.
Stargazing, yes.
That's a great name.
Yes, all of our wines, most of our wines we make are single vineyard from, very notable either appellations or single vineyards. But in addition to their technical name and location, we also have what are called fanciful names. So, playful names that remind you of something in addition to the location.
Whimsical as well.
Yes, whimsical. Yeah. Exactly.
And I was originally wondering if they're related to the vineyard name, but I noticed that they are not.
Some of them are. Not all of them are, but usually there's an association. So, for example, we make a wine from Maffei Vineyard over in Russian River called Tug of War. And I like that name for a couple reasons. One is there's a beautiful push and pull of the fog in Russian River. And so I think of the game Tug of War as sort of like playing with that that rope in Tug of War.
Clever.
Thank you. Also, it's a very old vine vineyard, about 70 years old. And the Tug of War game itself, if you don't know, is one of the oldest games known in modern society. So,
a modern or a historic society?
Oh, historic. I think it dates back to Roman times. So, yes.
Yeah. You don't need much other than a strong
No, that's true. It doesn't require a whole lot.
no clocks or
yeah, that's true.
Other equipment.
It's clear who wins.
And you play these games out here on your tasting patio and out there.
We do.
On the edge of the vineyard. You have your sensory experience, which challenges tasters to match flavor descriptors.
Exactly.
And it's a BACA game that you guys created?
We did, yes. So I had the idea a few years ago that there needed to be some sort of wine tasting experience that included a game. And I really racked my brain about, how could we design this? What would make it fun? And what we settled on was asking, at the time, our head winemaker for BACA, Alison Frichtel-Hollister, to write down what she said the main tasting descriptors were for each of our wines. And then we put little cards together. So when you come in for this tasting, you and your friends can compete against each other. And you can basically guess what you think the winemaker said the main descriptors were. So whether it's, raspberry, black pepper,
right.
We have a number of other different tastes that you can associate with it. And then, of course, we like to encourage a little healthy bit of competition. And if you win, you get some prizes as well. It's a fun experience.
Nice.
Yeah, we have a little thing set up so I can show you a little bit of it later.
And the way you describe it makes it sound like, well, that should be pretty easy. But ultimately, it's not.
It's not. No, because we all have different taste buds.
Mm-hmm.
We all experience things differently. Some people are more in tune with what their tastes are.
Right.
No, it's actually quite difficult, and it's humbling for the most sophisticated drinker. So, so it levels the playing field, I think, between novices and experienced tasters.
Yeah. So again, that's the sensory experience.
Yes.
Tell me about your other tasting experiences you have.
Yes. Well, all of our tasting experiences, you can book online or just come on in. We will accept walk-ins as well. But what we like to do here at BACA is let people choose their own adventure. So we offer not just BACA wines, which is predominantly Zinfandel. We also offer our Hall Cabernets and our Walt Pinot Noirs and Chardonnays.
Which is fantastic.
Thank you.
That you have that option.
I'm really excited. I mean, I don't know of anyone else who is selling Napa Cabernets in the area. Why would they? Sonoma makes great Cabernets.
They do, yeah.
Yes, and to have the combination of the three, I think, is very unusual. So we can craft bespoke tastings for people, or we have off-the-shelf different tastings. So we've got our regular signature flight where you can choose one brand or all three brands, or we have our chocolate and Zinfandel pairing. We also have a picnic experience where you can picnic outside with food and bottle service. There's a number of different tasting experiences that we offer.
And everybody has a favorite. I really enjoy Zinfandel. My wife would lean more toward Pinot Noir, and it would be great to try some.
Well, perfect. You guys can come together, and you can have some of one, some of the other, and you can kind of both expand, your preferences together.
Especially if you're in a group, it's very likely that they'll all have different desires.
I agree. Well, and I don't know about you, but I have my favorites, but I also enjoy a variety. So going somewhere and being able to try a little bit of everything is really enjoyable.
The other thing I like what you're doing is you're offering bottle service. And they can bring their own food in?
They can bring their own food in. We so you'll see we're sitting on the upper patio right now, but we have a lower patio in the vineyard. And so our picnic and bottle service is downstairs. So you can bring in food with you and then order by the bottle, and then you just get to have a relaxed experience looking at the vineyard and enjoying company.
And we're up here on the couches.
That's right, yes.
Two couches facing each other.
We're very relaxed.
Yes, we're very relaxed.
Yeah, the tasting room and outdoor space are relaxing. It's a colorful, modern setting with compelling artwork inside and outside. And as you heard, you can have some fun challenging friends and family with BACA games. They also hold events. You'll hear about one coming up after this word from my sponsor.
Life is made up of everyday moments. The best breakfast pancakes and bedtime stories, staying up too late and getting up too early. As your public power provider, we at Sonoma Clean Power thrive on sustaining everyday moments, and we do so with a clean energy future in mind. We know these moments are cherished forever. Together, we can protect today's moments and those yet to come. Learn how your actions can make an even greater impact at poweringeverydaymoments.org.
Now back with Jennifer Brown. BACA Wines hosts and attends numerous events throughout the year. You can likely meet Jennifer at the ZinX Grand Tasting event in January. It was at that event when I met her in 2020. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you more notice, but they have an event this Saturday, October 14th.
We do, yes. We've been doing for the last 3 years our annual BACA in the Vineyard Paella event, and it's really fun. So we have Gerard's Paella out with those large paella pans where they're making the paella live. And then we've got a Spanish acoustic guitarist.
Nice.
And then I'm going to be leading everybody through, every year we do a different vertical. This year I'll be leading everyone through our I Spy Howell Mountain Black Sears Vineyard vertical of our Zin. So we've got 4 years, 4 vintages to compare.
Nice.
It's going to be really fun. I think that Zin is a great pairing for paella. And we are almost sold out, but we have a few tickets left if anyone listening is interested. We'd love to have them. It's going to be a fun day.
And Gerard is a master.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
People love his paella. By the time folks hear this on my podcast, it might be sold out, but certainly give it a shot.
Well, yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah, because
we'll do our best.
Even though you're playful, I do want to point out the fact that your Zin score in the low 90s to the mid 90s, so that's impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, we're never setting out for high scores, but it's certainly nice to have them, and we're really proud because we put so much effort in the vineyard and in the cellar to make these wines, and we're really trying to craft really beautiful, elegant wines, and it's really exciting to see the critics give us great accolades for that. So.
Yeah, most winemakers say, I don't care about scores, but when they get a score that they want to brag about,
of course,
you hear about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And why not?
Yeah, why not?
It's validation.
Yes.
In a sense, you know you're doing a good job, but it's nice to see other people
for sure
agreeing with that.
Well, and I think there's so many wines out there, it's hard to differentiate. And for someone who lives in Akron, Ohio, who's going into the local store, how are they going to know the difference between the wines? Maybe they don't get a chance to come out and visit us. So having one other differentiator to tell the wines, I think is helpful. So
yeah, there are a lot of people who really don't like the scoring system, but I think it's a good jumping off point because you don't know anything about them, but if you can see they've got this score or this other score that's not so great, it's easier to make up your mind on whether you want to try it or not.
For sure.
Where did you get the name BACA?
So BACA means berry in Latin, and if you know the wine god Bacchus, BACA is the Latin root of that.
Right.
And I'm really fascinated about what I call heritage vineyards, so vineyards passed down from generation to generation. So the families that we work with for these wines that we're making are all vineyards that have been really preserved, many times 3 or 4 generations long. And so BACA really represents the history and the sense of place that Zinfandel has in California, being such a monumental grape in our history. Right. So I'm excited that ties into it.
That didn't even occur to me that BACA is in relation to Bacchus.
Yes.
The Roman god.
The Roman god of wine. Yes.
Viticulture and wine. And
exactly.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's a great name.
Thank you.
And it was available when you...
And it was available, most importantly. Yes.
Do you want to talk about Howell Wines a little bit?
Please. Sure.
I've only been out here since 2011.
Okay.
In wine country. And every time I've driven down Highway 29 in Napa Valley and you see that big rabbit that's out in front of your mom and dad's place at Howell Wines in St. Helena, it just has this feel about it that it's been sitting there for, not the rabbit, but the vineyard and the property has been there for 40 years or so. But your parents have only been in the wine industry since the early 2000s, outside of the vineyard that you have in Redwood Valley.
Outside of my grandparents who were growers, yes. No, it's true. It's really funny. By the way, do you know the name of our rabbit that's out front? His name
I've seen it.
His name is Bunny Foo-Foo.
Bunny Foo-Foo.
So when I was a kid, my mom used to sing to us the nursery rhyme, like little Bunny Foo-Foo, hopping through. But she would sing hopping through the vineyard instead of forest. And so when they were thinking of a piece of art to put out front, they commissioned this artist to create the steel bunny, which is now out there. And he really is hopping through the vineyard.
He's leaping, yeah.
He is, yes.
And I love how they have fun with it.
Yes.
Around Easter,
we
it's holding a
holidays.
basket of Easter eggs.
Yeah. No, it's funny. So my stepfather, Craig Hall, my mother, Catherine Hall, we've owned our original property up in Rutherford, which is the Sacrochet Vineyard, and our home around it since the early 90s. And we made a small amount of wine called Catherine Hall, but we didn't actually purchase the property down on 29 until the early 2000s. And the property itself has a lot of history. It used to be the Napa Valley Co-op. A long time ago, and so it even operated during Prohibition. It has a really rich history dating back to the 1800s, but we haven't owned it for that long. And it's funny, right after college, my first job was working for the winery, and I used to go around selling our wine, and I would go into restaurants, and no one had ever heard of us. And I'll just say there were a number of well-to-do sommeliers, perhaps French, who were not really excited to see me or wanting to try our wines. And it's just funny how far we've come from no one having heard of us and not being interested in talking to us to now being, a very well-regarded winery in Napa Valley. So I'm really proud of how much work that took for them to do and our amazing team to get us to where we are.
So when was that?
I want to say 06, 07. Yeah, so I would go around to to restaurants. I remember I had this one sommelier who I don't even think really tried the wine, but he spit out the wine. He says, "No, I will not try this. It is not French." And it was a funny experience. I'd like to go back to that restaurant now and be like, I bet you'll really like our wine. Yeah.
You want to try this $200 bottle we have?
Exactly.
I know you're going to love.
Yeah, exactly.
But am I wrong in thinking that even Hall St. Helena, which is on Highway 29,
yes,
the one that's not in Rutherford, both of them have historic buildings on the property?
In a sense. So St. Helena has a historic property. We have what's called the Bergfeld building, which was built in 1885. Yeah. And we, through pictures that we found at the Historical Society, we recreated the top half of that building to match the way it used to look when it was the original building.
Right.
So at our family's home in Rutherford, which you can go visit, it's called our Hall Rutherford property. We can see 15 people a day. It's not a historical property, but we've used historical materials to build it. So we carved a cave into the side of our hillside up there in Rutherford, and we used bricks from the Austrian-Hungarian Empire that were reclaimed after World War II. Wow. There's this amazing cave builder named Friedrich Gruber, and that's all he does. He has a special contract with the Austrian government, and he takes these bricks and builds these beautiful caves. And so when you go there, you feel like you're in the old world, but it was actually built in 2003 or 4.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thank you. It's really something to see. Yes.
What a great opportunity to have the choice to do something like that.
Totally. Yes. And it was meaningful for our family since we used to live in Austria. And so
that's right.
It had that really nice historical connection. But
is that how you heard about it? Because your mother was the ambassador to Austria.
She was, yes.
For a while for the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. So she was appointed under Clinton in his second administration. And when we came back, she was able to really focus more on our wine business. We had a small wine that we made and sold mostly to friends and family before. And then after coming back and she was done with her tour, I don't think you call it a tour, but her duties there, she came back and was able to focus, and we were able to, build our wine business up. She was looking into different options for it and then heard about this incredible cave builder. And so he and I think maybe 4 or 5 different mason workers came over with him from Austria, stayed for quite a while as they were building it. And I can show you some pictures after this, and would love to invite you to come see it sometime too. It's very beautiful.
That's fantastic. I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to get over there yet.
Well, you've got a lot of places to go. I get it.
Yes, believe me. I've been in Redwood Valley.
Yes.
A number of times. And you went to high school in Austria.
I did, yes. Yes, so our family moved when I was 14, and I went to a local American international school for a while, and then I wanted to learn German, so I switched to an Austrian school. So my diploma is actually what's called a Matura. It's a local Austrian diploma. It was a really, really wonderful experience.
Yeah, I bet. What a great opportunity. Mm-hmm. And good for you for taking advantage of it.
Thanks. It was fun.
And I made the joke that, why aren't you growing Gruner Veltliner here?
I know. I would love to grow Gruner Veltliner. I either grow or import. We don't do any importing, but I think that would be really special and be meaningful for us.
I mean, some people are growing it around here. It's not very much, but...
No, that would be fun. We don't have anywhere that we would grow, but of course we could work with someone and make that. It'd be fun.
Wonderful, refreshing white wine.
Yes.
Easy to drink, aromatic.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, in a short period of time, your family has done a great job really elevating Hall Wines in Napa Valley, and well respected already, and hasn't been that long.
Thank you.
So good for them.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm very proud of them. I remember the first time, we've been working really hard at it for quite a while, and then one of our wines, our Catherine Hall Cabernet, was listed as the number 2 wine in the world by Wine Spectator, and their top 100 wines.
Nice.
And I remember that day because my mom just started screaming with joy, and I was in college at the time, but she called me we were just all so excited. And I think people said, like, where did you guys come from? You came out of nowhere. But in actuality, we've been working at it for a really long time. Mm-hmm. But it was one of those times where getting a good score like that and recognition really meant something to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's quite an accomplishment.
It was really wonderful.
That was the Catherine Hall brand?
The Catherine Hall wine, yes. Yes.
Now we have jets going over.
Yeah, exactly. We just wanted to provide all different kinds of background noise.
But it's wonderful to be sitting out here. It has certainly warmed up since I arrived.
Definitely.
It's very comfortable.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really proud of this location. I didn't tell you much about, so we replanted this vineyard last year, and it is planning on being a head-trained Zinfandel vineyard, which people don't plant anymore. And for those people that are listening that don't know what head-trained means, it's basically when it's not going to be trellised, it's freestanding, almost looking like a tree. And
they're individual plants and vines.
Exactly. So it's planted to Zinfandel. We've got Alicante Bouchette. We've got Petit Syrah and some Carignan, all wines that are used often in blending with Zin, and we use in our winemaking. So we're really excited.
Those are looking pretty hardy for just 1 year old.
I know. Yeah, we're thrilled.
And your tables are just feet from those vines.
Yes, yeah. We say that we're, a stone's throw from Healdsburg, but you really feel like you're very far away when you're here. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I imagine you'll be attending Zinfandel Advocates and Producers' annual Zinfandel Experience coming up in January.
I will. I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you going to be part of the full weekend, or are you just doing the grand tasting event?
I think this year we're just doing the grand tasting event, perhaps 1 or 2 other events, but not every single day. We have been involved in a number of different events throughout the years, and it's just such a great organization and experience.
Yeah.
So.
And you get to taste such wonderful wine across the state for miles around to bring their Zinfandel and pour it for the lucky consumers who were there.
I can't think of another organization that brings so many different producers together of one varietal,
Yeah.
So it's a special time.
Yeah, those ZAP members, man, they are exceptionally passionate about what they're doing.
Yes, they are, for sure.
Every winemaker is, but they're obsessed about promoting it, for sure.
Yes, I agree.
If you can't make the Zinfandel Experience grand tasting, swing by BACA west of Healdsburg and see if you may become obsessed with their Zin. Don't live nearby? Check out BACAWines.com. For Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, visit waltwines.com. And for Napa versions of Bordeaux varietals, visit hallwines.com. Thanks to Jennifer for hosting me on the patio and taking me through their delicious Cat's Cradle Zinfandel, Somersault from Mendocino, and Double Dutch from Paso Robles. Oh, and their Ring Around the Rosé canned wines. Each has its own distinct Zinfandel spice and fruit characteristics. You're sure to enjoy at least one or all of them. Today's episode was written, recorded, and produced by me. Please subscribe to On the Wine Road podcast so each episode will automatically appear on your favorite platform. And I appreciate a positive review if that's an option. Find images, wine news, trivia, and more interviews at onthewineroad.us. I'm on Facebook as On the Wine Road and Instagram as JD Wine Road. I'll talk to you again soon as I share more from my travels on the Wine Road. I'm Jeff Davis.